Alright guys, back with another video. Today we're going to be reviewing this 36-foot Hinckley. I have spent a lot of time on these boats, so I have a pretty good general view of them and know how they run, know performance numbers, things like that. So this is kind of the first picnic boat that Hinckley built. This is called the EP, the Extended Pilot House. So the roof is a little bit longer, and the interior setup is a little bit different. But these boats are all built in Maine. They are mostly similar. You know, they're all a little bit different because they're, you know, a lot of owner inputs and things. So I'll point out some of the differences with this one. This one has a bow rail. They all have the windlass that's down under the deck there. You'll see a lot of the bright work. It's got these grab rails on the top. It's got a little trim line down the side. The tow rail is all varnish. This one has just your standard radar. Moving around to the back, we're in pack up mode here, so she doesn't have all the cushions out and looking pretty, but still get a good idea of the boat. On the back you can see the biggest thing with these boats is there are jet boats. So they have a Hamilton water jet, and they're connected to Yanmar 440s, the straight 6-cylinder. So that affects the way this boat handles a ton, and what you do with it as well. They're a little bit different because of that. I mean, if you're going from a traditional boat and you're looking at getting one of these, you really want to weigh whether that jet works out for you or not. The best use cases for these boats are, say you have a private dock that's in shallow water, or you know, you're up on a river, you know, an inlet that's shallow, but you want to get a good sized boat on your dock or on your lift. But say you only have, you know, 2 feet of water at low tide, this really might be the only option for you other than an outboard boat like that. But these actually draw less than a lot of outboard boats. They only draw 18 inches. So you can pretty much take this thing in any kind of water. Also, you know, if you live up in Maine, there's a lot of lobster traps around. It's good for that. You can pretty much, don't really need to worry about them. I mean, you don't want to run them over directly, but you know, you can kind of cruise right by them and don't have to worry about them getting fouled in your running gear or anything. So this is the engine hatch here. This whole thing tilts up. On the standard Pilot House, there's just the center engine box, and you can walk around the whole thing. They're a little bit more fishing oriented. This is a little bit more comfort. You put the cushions back here. There's this little ladder, switches sides if you want to go on the other side. There's an ice box here. It's all draining, of course. Sink. There's a cushion there as well. Line storage here. And these engine boxes do a great job of keeping the noise down. I mean, it's a big diesel motor running in there, and I mean, they're not quiet, but definitely calms down the noise a little bit. Then you have a nice little settee here, folding table. You know, one thing about this boat is this is the only way around. So if you have a lot of people on here, this is a natural bottleneck here where you're usually squeezing around people. In the Pilot House, there's about 7 feet, you know, 6 feet 8 inches of headroom. So plenty of headroom for a tall person. You don't need to worry about that. You got nice little lights in the rooftop. Oh, I should mention this one is about a this is like a 2007, 2006. Most of these boats were early 2000s to 2010, and then they switched over to a different setup, different sizes. They have twin engines. On the side here, you have storage, battery switches, just more storage there. This little thing flips up. That's where your engine hatch is, which I'll turn on with the breaker panel. Got your breaker panel here. Let's see, hatch lift. So that's in there. Up she goes. While it's going, so this boat, the Hinckleys were one of the original boats to come out with the joystick operation, and keep in mind this is early 2000s, so not many boats had that joystick for docking mode and whatnot back then. So this was pretty revolutionary, and I will say, if you're nervous, about docking with traditional straight shafts, these boats are super easy to dock and get in tight places with current and wind blowing. They have the joystick, so you can go backwards and forwards and side to side. There's a bow thruster, electric. So with the combination of the stick and the bow thruster, you can pretty much make the boat go sideways. They're a little different. So this is your shifter here. So you put it into gear by going forward. Then this is your throttle. The 36s are a little different in this respect. The bigger boats, the 40 and the 44, have twin engines and regular binnacles, but this one has the old school sticks. Put it into gear. This is your throttle. And then you have the different modes. So docking mode, you're just using the stick. Power steering is if you're going out and you're moving along fast, you can switch it to power steering, and instead of turning with the wheel, you can turn with this. So it's a little easier. It's kind of a nice medium between using the wheel and using autopilot. You can just make subtle adjustments with that. You don't have to crank the wheel back and forth all day. And then helm mode is just regular steering. And then as far as reverse goes, so there's no traditional reverse with a jet. What happens is there's a bucket that just goes down and it reverses the flow of the water backwards. So you never use the reverse position. The only time you use that is if you suck up seaweed or anything in the screen for the jet. You can put it in reverse, and then that's called back flushing, where you rev it up and essentially it shoots water reverse out of the intake for the jet. And that's something that happens fairly frequently with these boats, especially if you're in an area with a lot of eelgrass or something. They do pick up seaweed and stuff on that jet, and then you'll be going out and want to get up on plane and go, and it won't. So you got to slow down, go back into reverse, and back flush it for a little bit. So sometimes that can be a little embarrassing when everybody's expecting to put the hammer down, but you got to slow down and back flush. Here we have the Yanmar 440. I think it's like a 400 horsepower turbo diesel, straight six. These things are pretty solid. You just keep up with the oil changes and fuel filters and things like that. Main issues on these are the turbos and the coolers. So the intercooler, the the exhaust manifolds, just anything that salt water runs through. If you're buying one, it would be nice to have a record that that's been done relatively recently. And then they are connected to a regular transmission all the way back there. And then the complexity with the jet drives comes in because you essentially have another transmission back here by the transom. It is your jet pump, but it is another component which a regular gas boat or a regular straight shaft boat doesn't have. Back here you got your batteries, your exhaust, your steering and autopilot, all that good stuff. One thing I will say about these boats is, as you can see, pretty much everything is hydraulically actuated. So your side to side of the nozzle, your up and down of the nozzle, and your reverse. So should you lose if you have a hydraulic line blow or something like that, you're gonna lose all steering. And that has happened to me frequently on these boats, and it really sucks because you have no control over what the boat does. A lot of times you won't even be able to put it into reverse. So that's a big trade-off that you make with having the jet. I mean, you have insane control when it's working, but when it's not, you have pretty much no control of the boat. This is an access hatch right here. You can stick your hand in there and get around the impeller and feel it out. There's also a little pump there. That's your hydraulics for the bucket going up and down. And I suppose it's a good time to mention, these boats, they are jet boats, so you don't have a lot of running gear in the water. The jet is literally just mounted on the transom. So I will say these boats do not have the best seakeeping ability, which is kind of a bummer because they're so well made and well finished and just a very, very high quality product. But at least these older 36s and 40s, and even the 44s, they really don't like big waves or anything like that. They don't have many streaks in the hull, and you do a lot of wheel turning to keep the thing going in a straight line. Like if you're just putting at 6 knots, it will not go in a straight line. If you let go of the wheel, it'll turn one direction. And even the autopilot at slow speeds, it's very rare that an autopilot at slow speeds on one of these keeps it going in a straight line. They kind of just walk all over the place. And then in a following sea as well, they kind of surf down waves. The 36 actually surprisingly is a little bit better than a little drier than the 40 Talaria and the 44, just because it's a narrower boat and it's almost the same length. But I find that these are actually pretty dry. The 40 is not a dry boat, but you're in a pilot house, so you're not getting soaked. But any kind of little chop in the 40, it gets all over the windshield. That being said, I mean, they don't rattle, they don't judder, they're very well put together. It's just, they just don't have the best seakeeping abilities, compared to like a Bertram like that, or even a Grady White like this. I mean, they're not really deep V sea boats. They're kind of just cocktail harbor cruisers for the most part. So keep that in mind if you want to do long distances and be out in some rough weather. This probably isn't the boat for you, which is unfortunate because they're so good looking and kind of iconic. But I really wouldn't say that the 36 and 40 and even the 44 are great handling boats. And also, they're kind of slow. Like this thing does like 20 knots almost wide open. The 40 will do, the fast ones do like 27, 28 knots wide open, and about the same with the 44. So you're really not gaining speed with the jet. I think they're a little bit more inefficient than a regular prop drive. You're just blasting water out, and it's kind of funny. If you crank the wheel back and forth while you're going fast, it just sprays the water in different directions, and the boat kind of stays going straight. But I feel like there's a lot of energy loss with these jets, and they kind of really only like to go wide open, like maybe not wide open, maybe 80%, but whenever I'm running these boats, I pretty much run them wide open, like a jet ski. Moving down to the cabin, you got a nice little V-berth, hanging locker, lights on each side. This boat doesn't have a generator. It does have AC, but that's only when you're plugged into the dock. Nice little storage area there. Silverware, things like that. Under the sink, cleaning supplies. There's a little range here. Sink, fridge, microwave. And this one has a Fusion audio system. Moving inside the head here. Nice little power head, sink, and then you have your access to the back of the helm. All the wires there. Yeah, all the finish work in here is very nice. You know, this is a 20-year-old boat, and it looks really good down here. Nice wood, kind of keeps it looking new-ish for a long time to come. This one's got the teak decks, which are nice. They hard to slip on them, and it kind of sound deadens the whole boat. But they are hard to clean when they get greasy or dirty. One thing I'd say when you're looking at one of these boats, especially the 40s and the 44s, is grab this railing here and give it a shake. A lot of them, this one's pretty good. It still has, you know, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch movement in there. But a lot of them will kind of have weakened over time, and they'll have a lot of play in this pilot house roof. So you want to watch out for that. You also want to check your speeds. If you're only getting 15 knots or so, your impeller or the housing for the impeller is probably all worn out, so you're not getting good contact and propulsion. And then, of course, your engine, hours, things like that. I mean, the big thing with these is those things, and then this computer here. It's a pretty antiquated computer, and we have a good amount of problems with them where the bucket won't go down for reverse, or it won't turn. Just various issues with this jet stick computer. There are companies that make a retrofitted. Glendenning makes a replacement for this, but you really want to make sure that's fully operating. And the unfortunate thing with that is it'll work fine, and then when you need it the most, it'll just stop working, and you won't have reverse or forward or something like that, which is not great when you need it. But overall, you know, I would say these boats are iconic. They really serve their purpose for shallow water and cocktail cruises around the harbor. And it just takes away a lot of the stress of having to worry about exposed rudders and props hitting the ground. So they are nice in that respect, and like I said, they're very well made. They're very well put together, and they stand the test of time. And I think the styling does as well. You know, they don't really look like old boats, even though they really hold up. So yeah, that's my review of the 36 Hinckley. I have spent a lot of time on these boats, and I would say they're well made, well put together. Would I buy one for the price that they go for? Probably not. I think the newer ones are different, like the 43s. They maybe changed the design of the bottom and whatnot, and they ride a little better. But no, I would probably be looking at like a Shelter Island, or you know, something something that kind of has this look, but has a real deep V and real running gear. So thanks for checking out the video, and look out for the next one.